Hi, I'm Peter from Coffee Parts, and today we're looking at these two machines, the Marzocco LEVA X and the truly portable Nomad. Let's get into it. Both these machines are lever operated, both are super quiet, and both are fairly temperature stable, but only the Nomad is truly portable. With the Nomad, it's got a 300ml water reservoir. Now, if you're using it at home or somewhere where you've got access to hot water, you're probably going to use a temperature control kettle and run the water at 98 degrees. If you're out and about in a park, camping, wherever it may be, you're going to need a hot water source, whether it's hot water you've taken with you in a thermos or maybe a camping setup with a portable gas burner. Once you've got hot water, ideally you want the water at 98 degrees. And because there's no metal parts inside the tank, once the tank's warmed up, so if you're at home or in an office, you'd probably put hot water in it, pour it back out and then put the 98 degree water in it, and then it's gonna be quite stable when you run your espresso. So it really depends on where you're gonna be using it, but it is very temperature stable if you've got water at 98 degrees, and it truly is portable. You can pick it up and take it with you anywhere. The Marzocco, on the other hand, well, it's a big machine. It's a cool machine, but it's a big machine. In saying that, it does have behind the drip tray a water reservoir. So it's got a 2 litre tank in there. You could fill it up. In that sense, it's a 10 amp machine. You could take it with you, plug it in somewhere. But I mean, it's a very hard machine to carry by yourself. So in that sense, it's not portable. It's more than likely going to be in a kitchen, bar or somewhere, and it's going to be there. With this machine, it runs a 1.3 litre fully saturated brew boiler, insulated and PID controlled. So from a temperature side, this thing is going to be stable. So we're very different machines. I guess the one thing in common is they're both lever operated. The Marzocco have, I guess, redefined the lever where you pull it down, but when you're running a shot, you use the clutch here to engage and then disengage to make the lever safer. In the past, you used to bring down the lever and if you let go, fling back up. So Marzocco have reinvented that and basically brought a lever into the modern generation. Levers used to be covered up, they're now exposed as an artwork. We've actually done a full video on this machine. You can click up here to dive into it and kind of see the machine as a whole. With the Nomad, it's a lever in the sense that you've got this paddle and you got this gauge. And if you get it into the sweet spot of the green in the gauge, you are gonna get a beautiful espresso. Some people have gone deeper and almost pressure profile by controlling how fast they're moving the lever to really giving it that ramp up body and ramp down. With Marzocco, it's more of a traditional lever, not so much of pressure profiling as such. The Marzocco does have the display here because it's got a pressure transducer and you can see throughout the whole espresso what the pressure is in the head. So this has a gauge, Marzocco has a screen. There is a lot of similarities, but obviously vastly different. One thing we're gonna do is we've actually dropped the basket to a VST 15 grams in the Marzocco, and we're gonna run 14 grams because on the Nomad, we're running 14 grams. So it's not a fair or even comparison, but we're trying to at least get the same amount of coffee in. If you wanted to run more coffee in the Nomad, you could get an aftermarket basket. You could put a Cremina basket of the Olympia Cremina, and then you could hold about 16 grams. But as we have it, we're running the factory basket. So let's get into it, pull a shot on both machines, and just for fun, kind of see how the workflow is and what it looks like. So we've loaded the portafilter in the LEVA X with 14 grams of coffee. It's a lower dose than we'd normally use, so we're using a shallow 15 gram VST just to keep these a bit more comparable because we're running 14 grams in the Nomad after. Just gonna bring the cup down under here. And now with this, depending on how far down we bring it and engage will depend on the volume. Because we're gonna do a low volume, we're gonna start it up quite high and bring it in. Once we're getting that pre-infusion, we're just gonna bring this back and release the clutch and let it come back up naturally. So this won't actually stop extracting. So what we're gonna do is once we're happy with the shot, we're just gonna pull the cup out of the way and let the mechanism do its thing and pull back. Through the whole process, we can see here on the display the pressure. So now we're at about 8 bars, 7.9. We're just gonna pull the shot there and let it keep rolling. So much like we'll see in the Nomad later, where you got your green zone, you can see the pressure. On the Marzocco, you got a pressure transducer, so the screen is displaying the pressure the whole time. And one thing to remember with a lever machine, you can't just take the portafilter out to knock it out. You wanna let that pressure go back to 0 effectively. So on the screen here, you can see the pressure. Now it's 0.3 of a bar. And once it gets down low, you can remove the portafilter safely. If you're removing it still at pressure, coffee will go everywhere. Now, when it comes to this shot, it looks good. Let's see. And it really does taste, I don't know how to say it, but very levery. Like it's got that strong body yet still feels smooth. It's something that is very traditional of a lever coffee. And this being a mid-developed roast, it's got a familiarity to it and it does have a sweet taste. I guess we're gonna see what the Nomad does, kind of see how they both play out. So we filled the Nomad with water at 98 degrees and we loaded the basket in a drawer with 14 grams of coffee. And just bringing that cup, we're gonna start moving here the lever and we'll see it go up through the white section of the gauge and into the green. And once in the green, we're gonna keep it there till we have enough coffee. Just keeping it in the green, which is in the middle of the green is around the 8 bars, top of the green's 10, bottom of the green's 6. So we're just trying to keep it around the 8 bars or slightly above and pulling that shot till we're happy with it. It's kind of nice. It's almost like a little game of keeping it in the 8 and we're just going to cut it there. So as the pressure comes, we're just letting it roll out the edge. And then once it stops dripping, we're just going to lift the lever here to basically cut that drawer out and bring that coffee out. It's going to have a couple drips, but it's all right. The crema is actually really smooth and really quite beautiful. I feel like the Nomad really punches above its weight. But let's see what it tastes like. I actually really like it. It is smooth. There's something about it. It's hard to compare to the Marzocco. They are different, but it really does have very soft and smooth profile. Actually quite sweet as well. It's a little bit different. The Marzocco had maybe a little bit more punch, a bit more of a body in there, but they're both quite nice. Really hard to pick which one's better. So they're very different machines. The Nomad's super cool. There's something about it. It is a fun little machine. It's practical to take with you. You do have to have a hot water source, but the way it works in the lever, it's almost gamified. It's fun to try and keep it in that green zone and to watch that espresso. And I feel as a little espresso machine, it really does punch above its weight. And if you run hot water in, dump that hot water out and then run hot water in again, it is super temperature stable. The Marzocco is just epic. They've really engineered a beautiful, I guess, revision to the lever. The way they've done it, being able to see the lever and the espresso it pulls, I mean, it's a very temperature stable machine. A machine with a fair bit of technology. You're seeing exactly what's happening through that shot. And it actually is super easy to use, even though it looks quite complicated. Plus, if you're doing milk base, it does steam. They're obviously polar different machines, but to me, they both make me smile. There's something about this Nomad, maybe it's the green, but I really do enjoy playing with it. There's something about the Marzocco, maybe it's the lever, the fact they've re-engineered it, the mechanical side of it that makes me smile. So I'm not sure, they're just different. The espresso is actually really beautiful on both. But I'm curious to know, which machine do you have? Do you have one of these two? Do you have a portable machine, a lever, or a traditional espresso machine, maybe even a pod machine? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video has made you smile, hit that thumbs up. And like always, please subscribe. See you on the next video.